Good evening. I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us at 6. High drama and confusion surrounded the Senate Judiciary Committee's final vote on Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh today.
That is the big story at 6. The drama built when the final committee vote was delayed as senators huddled in a back room. Then came Arizona Republican Jeff Flake's announcement that he'd support sending Kavanaugh to the full Senate for a final confirmation vote. But Flake says his final vote is contingent on a 1-week delay so the FBI can investigate Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's sexual assault claim against Kavanaugh. With that, Kavanaugh's nomination passed out of the committee on an 11-10 party line vote. Only the White House, however, can order an FBI investigation.
I can only say that I would be only comfortable moving forward on the floor. I'll move it out of committee, but I will only be comfortable moving on the floor until the FBI has done more investigation than they have already.
After Senator Flake's request, Senate Majority Whip Cornyn said there will be a supplemental FBI background investigation for Judge Kavanaugh. And late this afternoon, President Trump ordered that investigation to last no longer than 1 week.
Well, as you can imagine, the phones are ringing off the hook at Senate offices, but those aren't the only calls substantially up this week. Eleanor Buckley continues our LEX 18 Big Story team coverage with the effects the hearing has had on sexual abuse survivors.
Today was a pivotal moment in America.
Although the decision on whether Judge Kavanaugh will sit on the U.S. Supreme Court is still pending, the repercussions of the decision will affect not only America, but specifically sexual abuse survivors.
People have started talking about it much more. And for us, the more it's talked about, the better.
A sexual violence resource center in Lexington released a statement today saying seeing and hearing the doubt and victim blaming so pervasive in these narratives in the media, on social media, and among even friends and loved ones of survivors often takes a substantial toll.
It's clear how devastating it is to the person who experiences it.
The good news for victims is hopefully the publicity of the events will allow more victims the courage to come forward. A tweet from the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network called RAIN tweeted that the number of calls to its hotline was up by 201% yesterday. Covering the news in Lexington, Eleanor Buckley, LEX 18 News.
Several men harassed and attacked a group of Democratic socialists holding a public meeting at a Louisville bar last night. It happened at the Silver Dollar Whiskey Bar and Restaurant. Just after the group got together, at least 4 men were caught on camera taunting and swearing at them from the sidewalk, telling them to leave. At least one person was hit with mace. The group told the restaurant's owner they recognized the men as members of a white nationalist organization from previous encounters. Louisville police are investigating. Jessamine County Sheriff's deputies say they've never seen anything like it. A thoroughbred horse shot on a local farm.
Catherine Collins tells us how unsettling this is for people along Tates Creek Road.
It's common to see horses grazing at one of many horse farms along Tates Creek Road. But this morning, Jill Mahan spotted something strange on her commute.
I was on my way to work this morning and came around a corner and noticed that there was a gentleman standing right near the fence with a horse laying on the ground covered by a blanket, which obviously caught my attention.
The Jessamine County Sheriff's Office says that man was tending to a horse that was shot sometime last night. The thoroughbred was found paralyzed, and the decision was made to euthanize it.
That is mind-blowing. This is a very safe community that we do live in. We are very close to town and a lot of neighborhoods and such, and it's just a sad thought that somebody would do that to an animal.
The Sheriff's Office tells me they found multiple shell casings here along Tates Creek Road. They say the owner here has no idea why someone would do this.
I've never seen anybody just target a horse like this.
Lieutenant Anthony Purcell says he needs the community's help to find out who's responsible for the shooting.
These animals are expensive. This person is out a lot of money for this horse. And it is a beautiful animal. This was something that was totally unnecessary.
Covering the news in Jessamine County, Catherine Collins, LEX 18 News.
If you have any information about the shooting, the Jessamine County Sheriff's Office can be reached at 859-885-4139. Developing tonight, search warrants have been obtained by Lexington police related to the death investigation of 4-year-old Marco Shemwell.
Police say the search warrants for Jacob Heil's cell phone and his car's black box data will help investigators piece together events that led to Heil's car hitting Shemwell. Alexa Helweg reports.
As the weeks pass by without 4-year-old Marco Shemwell, the investigation into his death intensifies.
This is really a tremendous, horrible tragedy, and yet I'm just so amazed at this family. They have taken every step of the way with such a tremendous sense of faith.
This is Cooper Drive, where the fatal collision happened on September 15th. 18-year-old Jacob Heil was driving on the road when a witness says his car suddenly swerved to the right and left the road for no apparent reason. Search warrants were filed in Fayette County District Court for Heil's iPhone and the event data recorder from his 2012 Hyundai Sonata. According to the search warrant, the car's black box data would contain pre-crash information, such as the car's speed and steering angle, which could verify investigative facts. Heil's iPhone has been submitted for forensic analysis, where pictures or messages could provide investigators a timeline leading up to the accident.
I just think it's important to know that this family also just has a heart of forgiveness and gratitude, and that's a tremendous example that all of us can follow.
Jacob Heil is scheduled to be in court on October 26th. Covering the news in Lexington, Alexa Helweg, LEX 18 News.
The Lexington Herald Leader quotes Heil's attorney as saying, "All the information we have is that he did not veer off the road." A man already behind bars for allegedly killing another man has been charged with murder in another Lexington case.
Police say on February 7th, 19-year-old Malik Nelson shot and killed 19-year-old Mikel Antonio Willis near the corner of East 6th and Shropshire downtown. Investigators say evidence and witnesses led them to Nelson, who's been in jail since May for the murder of 21-year-old Christian Kubert. Kubert was found shot in a vehicle outside an apartment complex on Devonport Drive in April. 2 Jessamine County men have been sentenced after sending a Snapchat back in February threatening a shooting at Jessamine County schools. 18-year-old Tristan Kelly and 19-year-old Cody Ritchie created a Snapchat profile in someone else's name, then published a series of posts suggesting that person would commit acts of violence at school. Ritchie and Kelly both pleaded guilty to federal cyber stalking. Kelly was sentenced to 21 months in prison, Ritchie to 27 months.
For a lot of you, it was tough seeing this morning. We had a lot of fog in the area. Now, as we went through the day, the fog does what fog usually does. It eventually, well, the sun gets working on its edges, and then the fog, well, will thick for a while, eventually begins to lift up. And for Lexington, that occurred the middle of the morning, and then by the afternoon, what became a low overcast broke up, and it turned into a wonderful day. But there were a lot of places that fog was thick this morning. The cool air, lots of water around. That's how you make fog happen. You're looking at a MaxTrack Live Doppler where no rain is happening. That's good. Should get through the weekend without it as well. Future track will help confirm that. Partly clouded through a good chunk of the night tonight. The sky may try and clear for a little while, but fog formation again looks to be likely for many of us come tomorrow morning. We're also going to be watching a front trying to come in from the northwest that basically dies out on us tomorrow. So the front brings some clouds with it. That ought to be about it. Along with that, it's a little reinforcing shot of cool air. And today, I mean, I'll tell you, it's been a good fall day. Upper 60s to low 70s. Boy, does your weekend look good. We'll have that for you in just a minute.
That's good. Thank you, Bill.
Well, it was nearly impossible to avoid that dense fog that was covering the bluegrass this morning, and it created dangerous driving conditions.
Several wrecks were reported on the interstate, and the fog also caused one Lexington man and his daughter to get quite the wake-up call. Tiffany Jackson has details.
Multiple interstate accidents in Woodford County and a car running into a house in Lexington all have one thing in common: fog.
I mean, there were parts that I completely couldn't see. I was terrified.
The interstate mess happened on I-64 near mile marker 66. One crash around 1 a.m. stopped traffic, and the dense fog made it hard for others to see that traffic, causing 2 more accidents. Over the course of a couple hours, at least 7 vehicles were involved in some sort of crash in that area. One driver was taken to the hospital with minor injuries.
It was totally a terrifying experience driving tonight.
Around 3 a.m., police say fog was to blame for a car ending up in someone's living room. A driver was confused on Garden Springs Drive when they blew through a stop sign at Alexandria Drive. The driver wasn't hurt, and the father and daughter inside the home thankfully were in other rooms.
I'll definitely be praying for the neighbors because I can't imagine all the work that it's going to take to get it fixed.
Whitney Hanna says she didn't hear the accident early this morning, but a few hours later when she took her son to school, it was still difficult to drive.
I just remember the fog was so heavy that I really had to back out really slow just to make sure nobody was going to come and hit us.
Covering the news, Tiffany Jackson, LEX 18 News.
After days out in the rain, the sky and the future look much brighter for True Blue fans camping out at Memorial Coliseum.
And we're just hours away from the release of those Big Blue Madness tickets. Get a live look at the Tent City excitement next on LEX 18 News at 6.